when you're able to go into a traditional market that has attention, and then you're able to really bring something new to the table, like that sets you up to like really stand out. And sometimes you're going to, go and you're going to get some no's, or you're going to have people who don't see the vision, and that's okay. You can, I always recommend in those circumstances keeping a positive attitude and showing love. Whereas, like, even if you don't see it yet, I love you, and we're still, when you do see it, come call me, because this is the thing, and you're gonna need someone like me. Hopefully, you remember who I am through our interaction, and I can take care of that for you. But I think that's so great. The more we can kind of like bring that, balance of what is going on in Web3 and everything that's evolving over here, and bring it into real life, I think that's super powerful. Also, I think it's really cool when you said like your friend had their digital art display, and all of a sudden, they're pulling up and switching your art in when they're coming. I think that's going to be a huge trend where you buy, whether it's a part of a status display from a project, or you just want to say, hey, I got Ally's latest thing. You're able to switch out and display all these different forms of art within your home, in your gallery, your office. I definitely think that's the future. But kind of moving on to like the onboarding side of things now. You are the founder of Cardano Women. Would you Can you kind of just, instead of me trying to explain it, can you kind of just explain a little bit what Cardano Women's all about, how that came to be, and what the mission of Cardano Women is?
Absolutely. So when I joined the space, you heard me mention there was no marketplace. There was few and far in between people. There was like a
I
really,
remember
really
those
small
Discord
group.
days. Yeah.
And Twitter spaces were all over the place. However, there weren't, I mean, you had Cardano nights, you had Cardano over coffee, you had all kinds of things, but it didn't seem like there was a lot of women in the space.
There weren't. I was there too. There were absolute. They weren't there.
So it's funny enough as you say that, like there are a lot of women in the space, and it's a matter again, if you go looking for it, then you will find it.
Mhm.
And so I had asked Hero when we were hosting coaching over coffee. It was way too early for me, so I was like, I'll focus on Cardano nights and then do the scheduling in the background. Um, just like an actual podcast kind of thing. I would focus on the scheduling of projects. And then I asked Hero, and I was like, would it be okay if I did a Twitter space like Cardano Women or whatever? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, Twitter back in that time had a minimum requirement as to how many people you had to like be following or following you to have a Twitter space. And I didn't have that number. So I was like, oh, I tweeted, I wish I had, X amount of followers so then I could host a Twitter space. And Jenny saw that and she made a giveaway post. And
Shout out Jenny.
yeah, shout out to Jenny. It was also a small, funny little joke. There was an individual from the Threefold Bold Project.
Mhm.
Um, we were in a race with each other to see who would get to the X amount of followers to host spaces, and we bet 58 at a time to each other. And I won, which was
Hey, let's
exciting.
go. We got to win now.
A huge shout out to Jenny for making me, the winner and everything. That was really awesome. But also, it was just exciting to have a Twitter space that was just for women, by women, kind of thing. But from the beginning, when I was thinking about onboarding, like I said, I saw Emily Ratajkowski. That was a woman who was like a mirror for me that I could resonate with. And I was like, well, that's going to be the same thing with everyone else in the space. Like, no one's going to really recognize Cardano or any blockchain things until they see themselves in the ecosystem. Whether you're Latino, Asian, um, just wherever you come from in your background, you would want to be able to see yourself in this space, especially if you're not brave enough to be a first time mover. A lot of us in the ecosystem right now are first movers. Um, Funny enough as that is, we see alpha groups, we see followers and, trends and things like that. But for the most part, we are all still early and we all,
Innovators for sure.
yeah, are doing the work. So my philosophy in that was bleeding over into how could I make that happen? And talking about being creative, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a fashion designer. And my mom, bless my mom, um, she was with the mentality as how she grew up is you go to school, you get a job, live
Da,
that
da,
kind of
da.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so she said, "Oh, honey, that's a really great dream, but you got to be realistic. You have to go with a real job because in fashion, one day you're in, the next day you're out." And I know she didn't really intend it now thinking, in her shoes. Um, but it prompted me to put all my notebooks away. Like I didn't touch them. I didn't do anything. I haven't drawn in years. Um, and of course, I'm not in the fashion industry like that. So that dream really um, dwindled away.
Mhm.
But it was revived with Web3, where I could hire an artist to help me make these things come true.